The first, I'm going to talk about how Calico is designed to scale. That's a little bit of history, sort of paralleling what Utpal was talking about before, but more from a technical side. And where Tomas was talking about the data plane, BPF, I'm mainly talking about the control plane and the kind of brain of Calico that makes those policy decisions and that sort of stuff. I'm going to talk about the recent improvements to address those customers' pain points, and then I'll circle back to best practices. And it's kind of similar to what was it Rui presented that? No, sorry, Jeremy presented that. Yeah. So kind of motivating what he was talking about, really. So this is our original architecture. You have a Kubernetes cluster. You have, this was all the way back to Kubernetes 1.1. I think we aimed for, and I think we tested up to 1,000 nodes, 2,000 policies. We were aiming for 1,000 churns per second, like 1,000 pod updates per second. We kind of wanted headroom, and this was kind of where Kubernetes was at that point, like maximums that they could scale to. And 100 pods a node, that was just where Kubernetes was at the time. We weren't sure how fast users would adopt that high scale. As it turned out, most clusters for a long time were smaller than that. But we wanted to take on the high scale straight away and make sure that we were the obvious choice when people wanted to scale up. We used our own etcd for our data store. So Calico needs to store data. We need to know what the workloads are, the pods. We need to know what your policies are. We need to store IPAM data and that sort of stuff. And at this time, Kubernetes didn't have a place to store that. You couldn't store external data in Kubernetes at this time, so there was no custom resources. We settled on having an external etcd. The other component of Calico, or the key one for my talk, is Felix, which runs inside the Calico node daemon set. So Felix is our per host agent, and at that time it was watching etcd and applying changes into the local data plane. So its job is to keep things in sync. A little bit more about Felix. So it concerns one of some of the enhancements I'm going to talk about. So our per host agent, we watch the data store. Felix gets a complete picture of the data store. So in the etcd days, it would download a full snapshot from etcd, parse it, and it keeps the data plane in sync. We try to make the changes minimal and atomic. So we move from one configured state to the next. And if we do get behind because we're processing lots of updates, we'll kind of skip ahead and do an atomic update. That's kind of what we try to guarantee.